Thanks for getting on tonight, guys. I appreciate it. We are going to run through, a couple of people have asked me of late about who do I talk to, what do I say, where do I find them, all of that sort of stuff. So what I thought we'd cover off tonight was just a little bit of the basics around that. Obviously, that's a really broad topic and there is so much that you could delve into as to how you'd find leads and how you generate leads and how you approach them and all that sort of thing. But if I can give you a few pointers to get us started, we can then go from there and build on it. So basically, I guess in short, there's actually no code. There's no secret, Lyndon or Aaron or Craig aren't holding any gospel that they're not sharing with us as to why they've made it or been so successful. It's simply that they've just done it. They've simply just made the calls, they've told the story, they've gotten on with it and put in the hard work to really project the outcome, I guess, is the answer. Practice absolutely makes perfect when it comes to network marketing. So just like imagine a sales rep in Harvey Norman. When they first get started, obviously they're going to be reasonably average, but once they've told that story time and time and time again, it's going to get quite good and they're going to get really successful at it. And that's why a sales rep of 20 years is much better than the 17-year-old who's just stepped onto the car yard. So keep that in mind and be patient with yourself, but also seek criticism, seek constructive criticism. And that's why the Power Start sessions work so well, because your upline is going to be hearing what you're saying and what you're suggesting to your prospect and be able to provide you with some answers and updates on, or I guess probably some answers to where you get blocked and also some suggestions as to how you could retell that story better or how you could invite them better the next time. So the phone really in this business is not optional. Of course, you've got the opportunity to social media and internet marketing, all of those sorts of things. And of course you could walk door to door, absolutely. But if you want to make money quickly and efficiently, then you really need to make friends with the phone. I know it's daunting. Truly, I hate it. I still don't want to do it 3 years in, but I know that when I'm on the phones, I'm making the most money the quickest and I'm using my time effectively, because to get around and have coffee meetings with everyone really just is not time worthy. So what you want to do is use your phone calls to qualify people. Those who are willing to meet, great. Those who need some more information, cool, shoot them a link. Those who are willing to get on the phone to an upline, even better. But if you chat to someone and they say, yeah, I really like the sound of that, could we catch up? Of course, by all means do so, because they've said that they're interested. But don't waste your time otherwise just ringing everyone for a coffee, because you could get there and they think, what the hell, this isn't what I was here for. I wanted to talk about our kids and, how annoying my washing is. And that's not what you're there for, obviously. So essentially, if, I know a lot of us sort of in this group here, a lot of you guys are reasonably new to the business and new to network marketing, but essentially if you're not having success within network marketing, the reason is you're not making enough calls, you're not talking to the right people, and you're not saying the right thing. So that's what we're going to try and windle out tonight. And then from this, obviously we can work on more detailed questions as we go along as to what makes more sense and what doesn't and what have you. So who are you going to talk to first? You're going to talk to anyone with 2 feet and a heartbeat, basically, anyone who is willing to listen to you. It is not your job to judge whether they are ready, available, open. It's just not your job. So you want to talk to everyone, because one thing I've learned is the most unexpecting person will be that person that says yes. So don't judge anyone until you've given them the opportunity to take a look at what you have to offer. Okay, so keep that in mind. Obviously, you are going to approach customers in the beginning because that's an easy, quick mark, but you really don't want to stick around there too long. Okay, that's not who you want to be spending your time on with your calls. You really want to be utilising. Just let me know, guys, if you can't hear me. I'm getting funny messages in the top of my screen, and I know we had some trouble last week, so just let me know. Anyone that is in your warm market that you haven't approached yet, get on top of them. So these people trust you. They know you. They understand you. You don't need to put on a show for them. So keep that in mind. I know that addressing friends and family can sometimes be a little bit daunting, but realistically, they're the people that should be supporting you. Now, we all know that they can be your worst critic, but if it's just to get a package out of them, it's a simple conversation of, hey, I've got started in this new business. I know that you know what I'm up to. I'm really wanting to step it up to the next level. Would you trial these products for me for 30 days? It's going to cost $250. They're amazing products, but you get your money back if you don't like it. I mean, really, what have they got to lose? Nothing at all. So it's worth trying it. And given that they're your close family, friends, colleagues, whoever they might be, chances are they're going to say yes to you, because most of the time people want to help each other out. Okay. So keep that in mind. And then obviously your warm market. So, you know, your sister's best friend and people that you would associate day in, day out with, either on Facebook or, you know, at your local social events, whatever it might be. Start with your warm market, and you really should have at least 30 people sitting there. You know, most people sort of say, oh, I don't even know 50 people. Oh, rubbish. If you've got to 30, you struggle not to know 300 people in your lifetime. And I know that I'm not talking about ringing Betty Sue from year 6, but I'm suggesting that you would definitely know enough people to get 30 names down on a list that you could contact in your first couple of weeks. So once that warm market starts to dry out, and it absolutely does, and it can happen quite quickly, because the other thing is that warm market is easily approachable. Once you start to sort of move into that cooler market, it does get a little bit trickier, because you need to be a bit more fluent in the information that you're offering. But this is where the upline comes in, okay? So from that warm market, you're going to be looking at networkers, entrepreneurs, direct sales, party planners, business owners, go-getters, you know, anyone who's just a little bit savvy and ready to roll. They're the sorts of people you want. You don't want, and trust me on this one, I've done it myself. It was a big mistake I made, was I engaged with people who really, 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 I thought needed the opportunity. The thing is, though, they are still in the same position they were 3 years ago, because they're just not the right people, okay? Now, anyone can do this business. That doesn't mean anyone is right for this business, because the skills are really, really simple, but you need to be sure that you're available and ready to make that commitment. So keep that in mind. Obviously, if you're looking to talk to existing networkers, you really want to be sure that you have an upline handy if you aren't fluent in presenting yourself, because they're going to be looking for specific things to join. I know now, if I happened to be looking for another company, there are quite a few key things that I've learned along the way that I would want to see in a new presentation or a new opportunity if it was being put to me. So if you're going to approach networkers, or if by chance you fall on one, or if you know one, get somebody ready to be online with you to help you with that situation. Obviously, people in a party plan industry are great, because they're out there doing the hard slog. They don't make their money. There's no residual side of that unless they're getting their party bookings and all that sort of thing. So keep those in mind. If you've got a Tupperware lady or an Intimo lady, or someone who's done party plan or direct sales before like that, get in touch with them and just invite them along to the next opportunity meeting, or invite them along to have a listen to a webinar. I find Angela Licenti's webinar works well for that, obviously, because she can relate to them. So get that recording and shoot it out to them as quickly as possible. And then again, obviously, you've just got those entrepreneurial go-getters. Everyone has those people in their lives. You might not know that they're there at the moment, but if you start to think about it and dig through your phone and have a look at your Facebook contacts, they will be there ready and waiting. And an entrepreneur is somebody who just puts an idea to action. So you want to take this idea of the business possibility to them and get them to put it into action, and you're going to show them how with the help of one of us, or, you know, your upline there. So please, if you're not sure from there, any questions we'll ask at the end, but I'm going to keep moving on just so that I don't hold you guys up tonight, because we could go on and on and on about who you could choose. But also, I mean, I guess just to give you an idea, the type of people you're looking at would be people who've already been in sales. Whilst our business isn't sales based as such, we don't want to be like the used car salesman. These people would be confident exposing situations to a stranger. So therefore, they're going to be comfortable exposing it to someone that they already know. People in finance, I'm finding, are pretty open to it, because they're really aware and open to residual income. I've got a mortgage broker in my team, and he is flat out with his business, but he stays really on top of what Janessa is doing, because he knows that if ever, for whatever reason, that housing market or the finance market here drops, this is exactly where he'll come back to. So that's really encouraging for me to know that he he keeps his auto ship going. He runs it through that. Anyone he wants to refer, he sends on to me, because he knows that this business is where residual income is going to come from if all else fails. So that's really exciting. So they're the sort of people that you want to be looking for. And always remember to aim above where you're comfortable. So if you think you're around about a 7 or an 8 in terms of a business builder or an entrepreneur, aim way high. You want to be hitting 9s and 10s, because the last thing you want to do is go in your comfort zone and bring in 5s and 6s, because they're going to bring in 3s and 4s, and 3s and 4s are going to bring in 1s and 2s, and that is not who we want in our business. We want 10s. So hit high, get out of your comfort zone, and get moving through the people. The more people you speak to, the better success you'll have, and that is absolutely a fact. So what are you going to say to these people? Basically, I suggest listen as many times as you can to a webinar. The more three-way phone calls you can do, the better you'll get at it, because obviously you'll be listening to what your upline is saying. You'll hear different stories, as many meetings you can get along to, as many live events. You want to be building your story and your script through what you're learning every time you listen to the story be told. So don't ever think on a Monday evening that, oh, this is a waste of my time listening to this. It absolutely is not. I'll quite often chuck on one of the guys' webinars if I'm feeling a little bit out of date, and especially before I present once a month, I try and have a listen to a webinar just to make sure that I've got everything covered in my head. So there's no harm in listening to a replay even once a week if you feel that that's what you need, especially until you're telling the story yourself. Your scripts, obviously there are 1,000 scripts out there. You could Google them if you want. There's some on the Training for Long-Term Success website. There's plenty in JFire. So you need to get those scripts and manipulate them to what you feel comfortable with. Obviously they're just suggestions, the scripts that people have used, but and none of them will be exactly what you say, because obviously that's not exactly how a phone call is going to go, but it's a suggestion that you can work from and start to build something that you feel comfortable with. Get to know the Colours to Success training. I'm not sure if you guys have all seen or been to a session, power session that we've done, the Colours to Success, but it is really great training, and it's a great way to understand the different personalities that you'll be dealing with. So flag that. I will actually find it and post it in the Facebook page for you to have a listen to. And that's something that you could easily listen to just driving to work or in traffic or whatever it is you might be doing. Remember always that the answers are in the questions. So ask more questions than you provide information, because what you're trying to understand is what that person needs, what do they want, and find the hot spots that you can work on with them. You want to be able to trigger things and they think, oh, wow, that sounds amazing. Yes, I can relate to that. So don't ever just go in and vomit the story on them. You want to be asking questions in the beginning. Try and get a feel for what they're not comfortable with in their life and see how you can offer them something in return to make it better. Okay, so remember that always asking questions will be the way for you to get around it. Sorry, I have to put my glasses back on. I know that there's reflection, but I can't read what I've written, which says bad things about my writing. But so we're going to look then at who are we talking to, what are you saying, and where do you find them? So we already spoke about the warm market. Your warm market are the people that are in your phone, on your Facebook, I guess, that you might see at the family barbecue where your sister's invited a friend along or what have you. That's your warm market. Those are those people that when you ring and you say your name, they're definitely going to know who you are. Or you could ring and say, hey, we met at, wherever it was last week. And they'd say, oh, yeah, that's right. Now, one thing I suggest there, and this is something that I do when I go to networking events, I always get in the car and write whoever I spoke to, I get in the car and write down their name and something about them. Generally, it's clothing for me because that's my trigger. That's what I like. So I think, I've been even known to write ugly brown shirt or whatever. But clearly that's something that no one sees. It's just something that I can use to relate to that person. Or if I see someone and I think, oh, they've got beautiful jewellery or whatever, just a trigger point, and you can ring them the next week. And this sounds a little bit lame, but it really works. Hi, Amy, it's Kaz. We met at the networking event last week. Oh, yeah, how are you, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I loved your bracelet and what have you. That's how I remembered you. And they say, oh, that's so funny. It gives you a way to connect with them without it being, hi, I'm ringing you about my business opportunity. It's just a personal touch, and it shows that you took interest when you were talking to them. So keep that in mind. Okay, so once your warm market, I guess, is a little bit flattened, you could potentially go back to that warm market and ask for referrals. I know that Brodie speaks a lot about referrals, and I've just started to, I guess now, a couple of years in, that's where I'm headed as well. So I'm going to go back to the people that have already been involved in the business and maybe not done so well. I'm also going to go back to the people that it wasn't the right time for and say to them, okay, cool, I appreciate it's not for you. Who do you know? This is what I'm after. This is what I'm looking for. I had a great chat with a girl who has just come back from China. She's been working over there, now studying back in Sydney. Today I spoke to her and just said, look, I know you've been in China and I know that you're flat out with your study. However, who do you know? And she said, you know what? I actually have a couple of people. So we're having a chat tomorrow about who she could potentially put me on to, who'd be open to talking. So whilst it's got Emily so not interested, and she's really honest about that, and I actually probably knew that before I even approached her, the fact that she's open to assisting me, who knows what could come from that. So just remember, it's not always going to be who you know, it's who you know, who they know, and so on and so forth. You look at Angela Senti against Brodie, she's, you know, levels deep. He would never have probably known her to enroll her, but someone who enrolled someone enrolled her, which was amazing. So you'd be pretty happy if you jagged an Angela 5 or 6 levels down. Definitely wouldn't be upset about it. Of course, your next option would be to go to social media. Now, you don't want to rely on social media because it's all in the hands of the person who's watching you. And a lot of people take a long time to ask a question on social media. So I've had people that have been watching me for 6 to 12 months who've only just contacted me and said, oh, what are you up to? I noticed that you've finished work. And I think, oh my God, you've been watching me for months, but it's that trigger to make it real that has prompted them to contact me, which is really exciting. However, you don't want to leave that sitting out on the table. So with social media, and I know Brodie's covered this, so I won't go through it, you don't want to be product-based, you want to be lifestyle-based, because essentially you're wanting to bring in people who are interested in changing their lifestyle. You know, occasionally you might throw a product on there, and if you're having a wonderful testimonial yourself, absolutely push it through. I know Amber, one of the girls in Adelaide, she's had some great results with Zen Body, really, really great. And that has generated, her personal testimony has generated so much interest of her. However, if you don't have something personal, I wouldn't encourage just splurting products all over the place. I'm pretty sure the guys would agree with me. All it's going to generate is customers, which are handy in the beginning, but really that's not exactly what we want. The customers you'll get through your warm market, which are a really handy little buzz to your income, but they're not going to generate that residual income. So social media is there. Keep it positive. Keep it curious. You want to make sure that people have a reason to get in touch with you. If you give them all the answers through your post, they're never going to contact you because they'll know exactly what it's all about. They'll just Google it and they'll make a decision for themselves, and you'll have had no control over what they actually thought and what they, you know, and also the question, being able to ask them the question, what did you like? What didn't you like? You know, how can you see this working for you? And, you know, so on and so forth. Events are another great way to network and meet people. So I go along to the Business in Heels event, which is every sort of 6 to 8 weeks here. There's a BNI group, which is Business Networking International. That's reasonably expensive to join. However, my brother-in-law joined and now gets 70-80% of his business from that group. So I would suggest, if you're interested in spending the money, definitely have a look at it. It's not something that I've done just because it's a breakfast time and it really doesn't suit my lifestyle. Whereas the Business in Heels or some of the evening events work much better for me. Of course, they don't have to be network marketing events. They could be all sorts of different, social get-togethers. There is a website called meetup.com. Have a look at that and find out where networking events are in your area. But even if you just go on Facebook and type in networking Canberra or business networking Sydney, wherever you're based, you will find swarms and swarms of groups that are there, and I'll guarantee you there'd be 5 or 6 you'll be able to pick from, whether it be breakfast or evening or after work or whatever, that you could go and join. It's amazing who you're going to meet now. Now, most people are going to those events not to buy something, but to find somebody. So that's not a quick fix, but it's about expanding your network and getting your story out to more people that you wouldn't have been able to before. So keep that in mind when you're going to an event, it's about expanding your network. It is definitely not going to be a quick fix to you jagging your next sign up. That said, I've got one girl on the go. She's a psychologist of all things, and she sort of was really skeptical about network marketing when I first spoke to her about it. But since then, she's been really loving my posts on Facebook and said, oh, okay, well, hang on, maybe this isn't what I thought it was. So she's actually open to it, and I've definitely got a few packages out of that group. So, certainly nothing to be shunned about, but it's about connecting with people. And I've got a few people that I'm looking forward to working with a little bit closer. One of them is a couple. They've got a personal training business. And I just said to them, it's worthwhile having a look, guys. Maybe you could put something like this alongside of what you're doing with your clients and offer them a kind of a 2-for-1 with the products and obviously your services. And then who knows, they might know someone who might be interested in the business. So warm markets, guys, referrals, social media, events. Then you can obviously go down the path of advertising and things like that. But I haven't seen a lot of success with that, unless you're going to take out a whole newspaper ad, which is extremely expensive. Really, you're much better off to work with referrals and warm markets and actual human contact. It's just much safer. The headhunting stuff can get pretty vicious, I guess, in especially in the networking world. I think Brodie would be able to vouch for that. And then obviously I've heard Lyndon tell that story that he's worked on current networkers in other companies, for years and years and years, and he can't get them across, because when you're involved in a company, you really need to be ready to make the move before you will. So if you have someone in mind, though, have a chat to Brodie, have a chat to one of us, and see how you can explore the opportunities of contacting them and staying professional. The last thing you'd want to do is contact a successful networker and come across amateur. That would be something that you really, really want to avoid. So we've covered there, who do you speak to? We've covered what would you say in brief, and we've also covered where you're going to find them. Does anyone have any questions? I know that I have covered it briefly, but I'm really aware that there's a 40-minute in-depth training that Aaron does on this, so I kind of don't want to rehash stuff if people have already listened to it before, and I think that he does a great job. So I'll post that training in the Training for Success Facebook page, so you can have a look at that if you want some more information. But in brief, I've kind of covered that for you in, maybe 20 minutes or so. So if anyone's got any questions, really happy to stay online and answer them. Otherwise, I might go ahead and stop the recording now, and I'll let you guys stay online, and we'll chat a little bit further if anyone's got any questions.